Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest, John Bryant with Bryant Staffing Solutions. For those of you just joining the podcast, I am Christian Gannon, the co founder of E.N.G Media, and we specialize in helping software and tech companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your software or tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. So let's get right into it. I understand Bryant Staffing Solutions is a results driven staffing firm with over 25 years of recruiting experience. You focus on matching fully vetted, high impact candidates with clients who prioritize their employees' success. Serving industries like healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and executive leadership, Bryant Staffing help bridges the gap between employers and talent to create lasting, meaningful hires. Could you tell me a little bit more about your business and your role within it?
Yeah, what can I where can I start? We really were founded back in 2007, and really back then it was mostly IT and engineering. That was my focus. I've been recruiting like 26 years, or almost 27 years now, and so with that, we've evolved a lot. So in the beginning it was IT and engineering, then 2017, but it was always part time, kind of just something to do on the side, make some extra money. And then in 2017, I tell people all the time the same story. I had a God moment, and it was either going to be I was going to do this thing seriously full time, or I was just going to give up on the dream of really running a business and really it being successful. So just took off from there, and then in 2020, I brought on Amanda, who is my wife, and I didn't know it at the time, but now she is my wife, and since then, but that was also during COVID, and we all remember COVID, and from that one, because of COVID, we transitioned into doing healthcare recruiting. And I'm telling you, I used to joke that I would never do that. I would never do healthcare. I don't want to do it under no circumstances. And if you look at our website today, it looks like we're doing it a whole out in a big way. So I find it to be funny, but then since then, we really kind of morphed and getting back into more traditional IT engineering. We've been doing it the whole 26 years, but now starting to focus on that as well as legal. So that's a little bit about the company. And then in my role as CEO, is very, very, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. I think for me, the biggest thing is learning how to run a business. I would consider myself to be a great recruiter, and not great to be bragging, but just because I've been doing it so long and it have put a lot of people to work. But more importantly, how to run a business and for it to be successful and then see your team grow and develop. Now that's my role, and it's dynamic. No day is the same, because I'm hands on in the sense of still doing client calls, sometimes even taking a candidate call, believe it or not. But those days are not nearly as like they used to be. Now, a lot of what I do is just running the company, looking strategically, having the vision, setting the vision. That's a large part of what I do now, but it's exciting and it forces me to grow a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And kind of a follow-up I wanted to touch back on was what really made you push to go full time and start the business? I know you said you had a God moment.
Mhm.
I know a lot of our listeners are maybe on the verge or do something part-time or kind of
Mhm.
hustling on the side. So what really made you make that push?
I mean, I think everyone comes to a point where I call it jumping off the cliff. And what I mean by that is, you can see the potential, you can see what's in front of you, and you're like, okay, I know that I can do this, but you also know that when you jump from that cliff, you're not going to generally soar. You're probably going to jump from the cliff and you're going to fall and you're going to have a lot of bumps, a lot of bruises, and a lot of like, oh my God, what did I just do? And that has been my experience. What did I just do? Because it's like, you know that there's something better and greater that you've been called to do, but having the faith and the belief that you can do it. And that's essentially what every business owner does, from Bill Gates to John Bryant. We just kind of one day we said, okay, I'm starting. He started in garage. I started on my kitchen table, and then voila. Next thing you know, you're sitting at 20 people, and you seeing the success of the business. But really, it's just saying, at what point are you going to go? I'm tired of talking about it. And I'm either going to do it or I'm not. And that's really what it came down to for me. And that's why I say it was a God moment, because I knew that if I didn't do it, then I would have forfeited a great opportunity, not just for myself, but for my team and all the people that work for us, our clients, and being able to support them in a great way. I knew that making that one big jump or leap could turn out to be one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and it has.
That's awesome. And congrats again on your success. And I think that's a lot of motivation for a lot of people, maybe in my position, who have recently jumped off the cliff in maybe the last year or so,
Mhm.
and pursuing full time. And I know a lot of our viewers are probably in that first year as
Oh
well, or
yeah.
maybe first two.
Mhm.
But shifting a little bit from your perspective right now, what are some major trends you're seeing right now in the staffing recruiting space, maybe especially with AI?
Yeah, that's it. I'd say AI is no joke. It is amazing what it has done for us as a company. There is not a single day that I don't use it, and not one time. I mean, throughout the day. And so it could be on a client side. It could be from helping us prep for a meeting, learning out some of the latest trends. It even preps you, as you know, probably from what questions to ask, all those things. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet in many ways in prepping for client meetings, but also on the recruiting side, same concept. We're helping our candidates prep for interviews by saying, hey, take your resume, line it up with the job description, and so that way it kind of points out things that you can potentially talk about in an interview. It could be helping us write up candidate assessments to clients. So for us, we have fully embraced all things AI. It has been game changing, especially for a small company, a small boutique company like us, where we're competing against giants, and but yet we're able to compete very well because AI gives us that edge. It gives us the things that we would like competitive market analysis. It does it for us, so it can help guide us along the way. So it's been game changing for us. I don't see us ever going away from it. If anything, we'll be embracing it more and more. So I'd say AI has been a big time game changer for any company like us, and not just recruiting, but in most spaces. I think that it's going to be something that if we don't get on board, you're going to get left behind.
100%. I think that's a great answer. And I actually had someone on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about AI a little bit. And since AI has been kind of being used more often and the frequency of use, there's been a lot of shifts not only in the S&P 500, but even on a kind of a minor level. Like all these
Mhm.
small businesses, if you're not keeping up, you're falling behind very quickly,
Yes,
and that cliff is approaching if you're not kind of keeping up with that.
very
But to
much so.
kind of stay on the topic,
Mhm.
a lot of people kind of get frustrated with ChatGPT or some of these large language models. Are there any specific prompts that you use related to these tools that are helping you become efficient and maybe using a certain chat or a certain channel to ask questions? And I don't know, what are you guys kind of doing to use it to the best of your ability?
Absolutely. I'd say in the beginning it was just Chat GPT because it was the easiest, at least based on what we were seeing it for. It was the easiest to kind of understand and just kind of start out. Today, of course, we still have access to Chat GPT, but we've also embraced Gemini. We've also embraced a number of other tools because they all do things really well, and then there's some things they don't do so well. So we've learned that we need to embrace a couple of different tools so that will give us an edge. So if we're trying to do client presentations, we may use this. If we're trying to do something candidate related, we may use this. Or if we're coming up to respond to an RFP, it may be a totally different tool. So we now that we really embrace AI, we don't just use one, we use multiple. I'd say that for most people, you just kind of got to jump in. There's no other way to do it. When I first started, I was terrified and had no idea what I was doing. But I have some really smart people. Amanda, who I referenced earlier, she is phenomenal and is someone who embraced our VP of sales, Lamar, same thing. He's the one who really got us going and said, hey guys, if we don't use AI, we're going to be in trouble. But that was just from the sales side. But once we all embraced it and took it on as a company, it's just been now the learning is like exponential because we can go, okay, this is what we're doing now. We can add that kind of information to AI, and then it can just say, hey, here's a roadmap. Here's a different way to approach this. And so for us, I think that's been really what has been the edge. Really embracing it and not being afraid of it because there's just so much noise out there, and I get it. Trust me, you don't want to lose the personal side, and that's something we're very, very, very paying attention to at all times. How do we make sure we still stay authentic? that it's us, not AI. But at the same time, using those tools to allow us to be cutting edge and to really be able to support not just our clients, but also the candidates that we work with every single day. So you got to kind of put away the noise and go, yes, can it be used for bad? Absolutely. Can it be used for all these other things? Oh yeah. But when you use it responsibly and you do it in a way that really allows you to be more efficient and allows you to be able to really support the folks that you work with and support every day, it to me is game changing.
100%. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think if we just go off LinkedIn posts and a lot of people trying to get traction or trying to get
Hmm.
attention, you would think that it's doing everything, right? And that there's no human touch to anything. But time and time again, as I hop on these podcasts, I get similar answers in the sense of we use it to leverage our monotonous tasks that maybe take a lot of time out of our day
Yep.
so that we can focus on the ones that we need to put human touch on, like that personalized email or that phone call that it freed you up for in the afternoon. Those are the things that I think people are using AI for more than just do all my work for me and
Oh my
email
God.
everyone
Yeah.
else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Oh yeah. Well, plus it's not. I mean, like it's funny. We were talking about this week. It's funny to me because we were using two different tools and they both gave totally different responses. And it reminded all of us that hey, the information is great and don't it's wonderful. Don't don't not use it.
right,
But at the end of the day, verify, check it, make sure it's
a
correct.
hundred percent.
So that's the side where you got to always be thinking all right, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful tool, but that's what it is. It's a tool to make you more efficient and to help you, leverage. But at the end of the day, you got to keep that personal touch.
Definitely. And I'm glad we're in agreement there. And kind of in the spirit of that question, what in this landscape right now is kind of making it more challenging or on the flip side, easier to operate in right now?
Yeah, I say what's making it more challenge. Well, what's making it easy is it just AI just it puts everything at your fingertips. Information, everything you can possibly want to know, from even doing a legal contract to whatever, whatever. I mean, it's right there. So the information is wonderful, and at probably no time in history has it been this available to everyone, not just a large company who they have the resources and they got the people, and we could never compete with them. AI just levels the playing field. The other side is the just jumping in and actually not being afraid of the technology. I think that's what makes it hard. And the noise. Again, there's tons of stuff out there about the good and the bad of it, but just no, trying to figure out what makes what's really true, and then just from that truth, discovering how can you use it to hopefully help things and help your world as far as what you're doing is when it comes to work. But that's the big thing. I think just kind of getting rid of the noise and all the things from it. That's the hard part. The easy part is it's right there. And if you embrace it, it can be game changing for your company.
100%. And kind of with that in mind, we've touched upon it a little bit and you touched on it a little bit yourself, but what does the current competitive landscape look like right now for you guys?
Yep, very, very competitive, to say the least. I think I was looking at an article the other day, and I think it said there's like 25,000 staffing companies in the U.S. And so when
That's
you
insane.
have, yeah, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is that real? But I
Right.
think that's what it said. And so when you have that much competition, obviously, you've got to be thinking, how can you separate yourself from others? I think AI is a big piece of a piece of that puzzle because in that same article, it was saying, I think like 20% or maybe 15 to 20% of people, as far as staffing agencies, are even using AI. So we're already on the cutting edge when it comes to technology, but then all the other things that we do to separate ourselves is really key. When it comes to the competitive landscape. But yeah, it's extremely from healthcare to IT. For us, we're not trying to boil the ocean. We're not trying to be everything. We're focused on just a few industries from healthcare, IT, engineering, legal, and manufacturing. Those are the ones where we really want to stay within. But again, not trying to do everything and try to do things that really wouldn't be in our core skill set. We're really focused and we know exactly what we can do and bring to our clients that we support as well as the candidates that we look for every day.
100%. And I think you mentioned something very important and that you highlighted, especially from us coming on the marketing side, is that
Mhm.
you said that you don't need to appeal to everyone and everyone. I can't solve everyone's problems, and acknowledging that and being able to convey that is a huge part of marketing yourself correctly, right? Like I
Mm,
can't help someone that's maybe in the mining industry with staffing. That's not in my space. I
no,
do X, Y, and Z, right? And thank you for sharing that. I think it gives a lot of insight into a lot of people that are starting companies that have jumped off the cliff. Okay, I don't need to appeal to everyone
no,
and
no.
everyone. So
The reason why I can say that is because that's what we did. There was a time we didn't shoot. If you just said I have a job, we're like, oh yeah, sure, we can feel it, we can feel it. And I'm telling you, that is not a good way to do it. Not because there aren't companies that probably can do it, but at the end of the day, you got to really find your niche. You got to find that sweet spot, and then once you find it, you just become excellent at it, and then that separates you from everyone else. And I think in our space and what we do, that's what separates us. We're able to be boutique, small, but at the same time give you that nationwide feel when it comes to work with the sources and recruiters that we work with every single day. They're all over the place, and so it just makes it really really neat for us to be able to support our clients, not just locally but nationally.
definitely. And I think us on the other side on our business went through the same thing, appealing to everyone and never really just focusing and honing in on what we wanted to do until like the past year. But that first year we had a lot of bumps as we were talking about earlier about that cliff of you'll hit them and you'll learn because you don't want to hit the
Oh
bump
yeah.
again. So, but switching a little bit more to the personal side, could you talk me a little bit through what your day like looks like as a CEO?
Wow, my day is never the same. That's for sure. I think at this point, I'm still hands on in the sense of because I have an executive team now. So back in the day, I was the chief bottle maker, the janitor, the recruiter, the everything. I had to be because that we were so small and we were just trying to get out there. Today, my role is not like that. Today, it is very much. I'm still involved in the day to day in the sense of I understand what's going on when it comes to our clients and strategically where we're headed as far as industries. And then even on the recruiting side, helping them with sourcing strategy, helping them, kind of define where we need to go, how do we evolve, how do we find, some of those passive candidates. I don't do that as much, but I still do it. Really now it's about developing my executive team and developing the company as a whole. That's really a large part of what I do. I now, because I have a team, I have the ability to step back and to think strategically. And a good friend of mine told me not too long ago, he was like, listen, you got to get to where you can not only delegate, he said, but you got to delegate in a way where you can jump down for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe an hour. Stay there and then jump right back up to the top. He said, because the best use of your time is not in the weeds. The best use of your time is being able to really lead the company. And so when I need to jump in, I jump in. When I don't, I allow my executive team to flourish and to grow and support them. And then they do the same thing with their teams. And then as they grow, I grow. And so it's a beautiful thing to watch it in real time and to see the company evolve and take shape. But as far as my role is never the same. It's more of just seeing those holes and then being able to put people in the right place to be able to fill those things and make us even better at what we do.
100%. And I think to reiterate on what you're saying, you're kind of saying, I want to lead and I trust my 18 players to do their job. I don't want to
Mhm.
micromanage. I don't want to get in the
Mhm.
weeds. I just want to lead the direction of the company and step in where you need me, right?
You
And I
got
think
it.
that's a very good way of looking at thing and a very good leadership trait overall,
Mhm.
because I think we've all had managers that have
Oh,
micromanaged us or stepped in when we didn't need the help or didn't realize we were the 18 player, right? So having a
absolutely.
lot of trust in your team goes a long way, especially as a
Yeah.
CEO.
And I won't
And
lie, it took me a while to get there.
oh, I bet. I
Because
bet.
this is my baby, this is my baby, and I was like, wait a minute, you can't do well. You can't. What do you? You can't do it like me. But I think we were in a leadership class not too long ago, and they were saying if you can get someone to 80% of you, move on. And I was like, huh. So that really is kind of the mindset our executive team takes too. Can someone do what we do at that our level? Probably not. It's going to take some time to get there. But if we can get someone 80% there, we're good to go.
That's an awesome way of looking at it. I think that's a great piece of advice, and especially for me, we haven't hired anyone on our executive team yet. But looking forward into that vision of now, I have some brain
Yeah,
notes to keep down the line.
sure.
Uh, but when it comes to measuring success in Bryant staffing, what performance metrics matter most? Is it revenue growth, placements, client retention, recruiter performance, or maybe something else entirely?
So at the end of the day, I've always said this, and I will always say this: it's about putting great people to work, butts in seat. I guess that's a shorter way of saying it. That's what we get judged by. How well are we doing at putting people to work? However, and that's always going to be the metric when it comes to staffing. But really, what's important to me is how well we're treating our clients, and are we able to retain them and grow and see that relationship really flourish. But the same on the other side of that, and it's just as important, is the candidate experience. How do people feel about us? Because I look at this really as ministry, because we're talking to people all day long, and as much as it's business and jobs and all that kind of stuff, people talk to us about all kinds of stuff. And so, we're praying for our candidates. We're talking to them. We're encouraging them. We're helping them with AI. We're prepping them, so they become really kind of a part of our family. So for me, that's how I judge success. I judge success based on how well we're doing with the clients that we support, and are we, helping fill their roles, but also building relationships with them and helping their business grow. And also on the other side, what is a candidate experience really like for us, and how well are we doing when it comes to finding those great individuals that can find those hard to fill jobs.
That makes a lot of sense, and thank you for sharing. And kind of looking ahead for the next 6 to 12 months, what are some of the biggest goals right now?
Yeah, I think for us, for the next 6 to 12 months, we're evolving into some new industries. So, and what I mean by new industries, they're the ones that we talked about. So again, traditionally, IT engineering used to be what we were known for, and so for me and for us, I think we really want to get back to that focus and really continuing to develop even more and new relationships with IT and engineering companies, but also legal has proven to be quite an interesting space. We just signed like 4, 5 even new clients on that side. And so I think
Congrats.
that's, yeah, so I think that's an area that we're going to be doing. But then also manufacturing, we've always done that. And I think those are the areas where I can see us really going like, okay, let's just focus on these 4 to 5 industries and let's just see it grow. In addition to healthcare, healthcare is not going anywhere. We're going to continue to focus on that. But these other industries as well will be a major focus for us over the next 12 months, as well as developing our core recruiting and sourcing team, giving them the tools they need, looking at some of these new things that are out there, being able to provide them with some of the cutting edge technology that will allow them to do what they do even more efficiently, and utilizing AI, and as we have been doing so already.
Of course. And are there any specific systems or tools that you're using to really propel towards these goals that are really helping? I know we mentioned AI a couple times, maybe any others that maybe we're using at the front lines with your recruiting staff, or maybe even at the top with your executive staff.
Sure. So for some of the tools that we utilize on the sales side, we use tools like Seamless, Instantly. Those are the big ones that we use there, to help us reach
Hmm.
candidate, reach new clients. On the recruiting side, we use as our ATS Job Diva, and Job Diva has proven to be really, really good. And then, of course, you got all the other, your Indeeds and all the job boards and things
Right.
like that. But as far as tools that we use every single day to make us more efficient, to stay organized, would be the ones that I just mentioned. Those are like the three big ones, in addition to, all of the AI tools that are out there too. I think those are probably the big ones for us.
100%. And to close out, I have one more question for you. It's a tough one, but a fun one. Hypothetically, if you had a magic wand and could solve just one problem within your business, what would that be?
At how to find passive candidates for our open jobs. That would be it all day, 24/7. In my 26 years of recruiting, that is a question that I think I have asked just about every single day. How can we find more qualified passive candidates that are interested in our roles and they want our jobs? Because when they call in a recruiter, it's not because they haven't tried. It's because they have tried everything they know to try, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come in and fill this purple squirrel." And so that's what we call it in our company, filling the purple squirrel. So by the time it comes to us, we know it's going to be a tough field. So if we could wave a magic wand and find out how to find these people, and more importantly, that they'd be interested in our roles, I think I'd be beyond happy, and would probably have solved the recruiting struggle of the year. So,
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. And if people want to connect with you, John, or learn more
mhm.
about what Bryant Staffing Solutions is doing, where could they go and how could they connect?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn like everyone else probably. So LinkedIn, you put in Bryant Staffing Solutions and John Bryant, and you will find me. I'd say also another way would probably be just our website, which is Bryant Staffing Solutions with an S.com. And or they can always hit me up by email, which is jrbryant at team-bss.com. Any of those three, but probably LinkedIn is the easiest because you can always find me there.
Perfect. I will leave the links to John's LinkedIn along with Brian's website down below. But I highly recommend you check out the website and the LinkedIn. It gives you a lot of insight, especially if you're in the staffing and recruiting space, on what's new, how they're leveraging technology. But thank you again, John, for hopping on the podcast for the day and sharing
And
your
really,
insights.
and really quick, Christian,
Hmm.
one thing about me, I love, I'm a learner and I love to share and as well as get information. So if anyone just wants to reach out, talk about staffing, they're thinking about doing recruiting, I'm more than happy to help in any way I can and provide insight that we've learned along the way. I just love talking to people. And so I would want anyone who's interested or just has questions about business to feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Feel free to reach out to John. He's an open book. I reached out to him and he was an open book with me, so I highly recommend it. But thank you again for hopping on and sharing your insights.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. It's been a pleasure.